What is life without a dream? CM Punk's dream took 20 years, or 7,305 days, or 175,320 hours to fulfill. Thanks, Google. Punk waited a long time, and he is finally fulfilling his lifelong dream of main eventing WrestleMania, something that's been eating him up for years. Raw was such an emotional night, and Sunday, April 20th, 2025 will be a day to remember. But it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows. No, let's go back in time 20 years. Back to the time when Punk was just an extra for John Cena's entrance. CM Punk started his WWE career in the shitty ECW rebrand by Vince McMahon. You know, the quick cash grab one. But this is where he made a name for himself. He was undefeated for 6 months until Hardcore Holly beat him. But that wasn't the end for Punk. He started a feud with John Morrison until he eventually picked up the ECW championship. Punk showed that he has what it takes to be a champion. He was finally climbing the ladder of success and his name was recognized. He was a champion for 143 days until Chavo Guerrero took it from him. With the help of Edge, of course. But this would actually be a blessing. See, even in the wrestling world, the circle of life happens. And Punk went on to win the Money in the Bank, and then he cashed it in on the same person that cost him that match. He cashed it in on Edge, and he won his first ever World Heavyweight Championship. And he held on to it for 69 days. Now, for the next couple of years, Punk would stay relevant, but he wouldn't be doing anything too crazy. The most we got out of him in these next few years was his feud with Jeff Hardy. Now, this is worth mentioning because he retired Jeff Hardy, and it was a straight edge lifestyle versus a not so straight edge lifestyle.
I want to show you something, Jeff. This is polymoxin B sulfate. I have to apply this to my eye 3 times a day. The only way you obtain this is with a prescription from a doctor. Now, I know you know a thing or two about prescription medication. What I don't think you realize is that you have to go to a doctor to legally obtain some. Unlike you, Jeff, this is the only foreign substance I will allow in my body. So if you want to imitate me, why don't you try living a clean lifestyle? Why don't you try living a straight edge lifestyle? Jeff, you've got 2 strikes. You know how many I have? 0. Jeff, you know how many times I've been suspended? 0. You know how many times I've been to a rehab facility? That's right, 0.
Now, at the end of this feud, Punk would retire Jeff Hardy in a steel cage match, and this was a really hard watch for us Jeff Hardy fans. They had a long fought battle and CM Punk would win. And then the next night he would come out as Jeff Hardy, and you can just go ahead and throw the mustache on him because this man was hated just as much as he was at this point. Then he goes on to do the whole straight edge society into the Nexus era, before we get the infamous CM Punk title run. CM Punk had one of the best title reigns to date. It lasted 434 days and he was on top of the world at this point. It was the WWE versus CM Punk. But he was still missing something. Even with this long of a reign, he still never main evented WrestleMania. This would eventually lead up to the pipe bomb, and that can be a whole new video in itself, so I won't go into too much detail explaining about it. He had enough of Vince McMahon and his bullshit and his doofus son-in-law Triple H. He decided to walk out of the company at this point due to being mistreated and he was just simply burnt out. We do get a little short run of him in the UFC, where he pretty much just got punched in the face a lot and left after 2 matches, with 0 wins. So we can go ahead and erase this whole UFC run and forget about it. There we go, much better. AEW was starting to gain traction and CM Punk jumped in on the bandwagon. He quickly rose to stardom in AEW and he was a fan favorite starting from the first night. He won gold pretty quickly, but he did not like the way the company was run. At this point, he was pretty much just beefing with everyone. He got into numerous altercations in the back and he quit on them. You've got to respect CM Punk on this point because this man does not take any kind of shit from anyone. But now we have hope, because in 2022, Vince McMahon stepped down from WWE. And these two cooked up something good, because CM Punk did in fact return over 10 long years back to his home. This was one of the biggest days for pro wrestling, and ever since his return, he's been in numerous amazing feuds, putting on 5-star matches with the likes of Drew McIntyre. They were actually the 20th match ever to receive a 5-star rating for the WWE, going up against the Tribal Chief Roman Reigns, and also teaming up with him. And the one reason he teamed up with him is because he wanted a favor from Paul Hayman, and then he went on to compete against Seth Rollins, eventually leading up to the steel cage match that Roman Reigns broke up. And this would lead up to that triple threat match that these 3 men are going to have at WrestleMania. And now that favor comes back into play. Paul Heyman reveals the strings he pulled. and he got Punk his ultimate dream. He got him to main event WrestleMania. Pro wrestling is staged, but these are the emotions of a man who has completed a lifelong dream.